Leafs Nation, it has been a long time since I've talked to all of you guys. Not a month yet, but it's at least it feels like a long time since I've talked to all of you Leaf fans about this team. And the last time I talked to you guys, the season was over, and the Leafs had lost in Game 7 yet again, this time to the Tampa Bay Lightning, but in very different fashion, and it left us Leaf fans feeling a different way than years past, but I hate it because it's the same damn result, losing in round 1. You all know why we're here. You guys can read the title. We're here to review the 2021-2022 season, talk about what was, what went good, what was not good, and then the 2022 offseason, which is, I can't sit here and say it's so crucial. Of course it's crucial. Any offseason when you're a contending team is crucial. So let's start with the review. Let's talk about the Leafs 2021-22 season as a whole and what it was. Well, you could start with Auston Matthews. And him scoring 60 for the first time in Leafs franchise history. Be the first guy to do so. And a lot of emotions going through that. Passing Rick Vaive, passing all these guys and in single season goal scoring. And he does it. He cracks 60. Everyone's excited for him. Great stuff there. You know, lots of franchise records. Didn't they have like franchise record in wins and in points and all this stuff? And we're like, damn, this is incredible. You know, and then the goalie fiasco that we dealt with earlier in the season, right? With Jack Campbell playing a really good first couple months and then hit a brick wall and was a disaster. Then was down injured for a while. And we're like, oh God, we got to deal with Mrazek and Eric Källgren. Then Mrazek went down and we're like, oh God, Källgren and Hutchison. Then obviously Jack Campbell came, and the records in there weren't very good. And then Jack Campbell came back, and it seemed to steady things near the end, but the Leafs found a way to get home ice in the first round. They got second place in the Atlantic Division. They got to play Tampa in the first round, which we're all like, you know, we're kind of the underdogs here, so this might be a good thing for this Leafs team. Well, I can quickly break down the series. Game 1, you went 5-0. I mean, it was just a domination performance by the Leafs. They scored 5 on Vasilevsky. Incredible. Now, I have a theory. Now, I know it's far-fetched, and I'm a Leafs fan, and it might be me just grabbing at straws. But I don't want to say this series was rigged, because it probably wasn't. However, I notice in this series, every single time the Tampa Bay Lightning went down in the series, they lost a game, or they were on the brink of losing a game in the series, the calls were being favored. Now, again, you know, it doesn't help when the Leafs don't play well, right? You go to game 1 and it's fairly even. It was like 6-5 in power plays. And then game 2 was like 7-3 or something like that. Very skewed in that game. Or maybe that wasn't that game. It was that bad. Maybe it was like 7-4 or something like that. 6-3, something. It was like 2 or 3 power play discrepancy. Whatever. Nothing crazy. It's a 1-1 series. We go to game 3, right? Fairly even. I think it was like 6-5 again. The Leafs win in Tampa. Then in Tampa, that's when the Leafs played absolutely horrendous and just got demolished. However, the power plays were 7-3 in favor of Tampa. Very skewed. Now, the Leafs didn't play very well, so fine, so be it. But again, this is all after a Tampa Bay Lightning loss. Every time it was followed by a loss, right? When Tampa won a game, hey, it was countered with, you know, a fairly even game. Because then we come back to Toronto for game 5, and the Leafs take it, you know, obviously come from behind and win that game and push them to the brink of elimination, which, again, was fairly evenly called there. But then we go to game 6, and there was nothing being called for the majority of the game. And it was a 2-0 Tampa Bay lead, right? We go to the third period. The Leafs got the lead now. 2-man advantage. And we all know the 2-man advantage, what happened there. And right after that 2-man advantage, it seemed like Andrei Vasilevsky locked in for the first time really in the series. And then the tables turned. They won that game in overtime. A tough one, just a heartbreak. And then we all go to game 7, and every Leafs fan on the planet had the same feeling, the same thought going into game 7. Not again. Please, not again. But it happened again. And the Leafs lost 2-1 in Game 7. Again, I'm not going to say it was a complete conspiracy because, you know, whatever. You got to go out there and play. But it's the same result for the Leafs as they lose in round 1. However, for me, it felt differently. And the reason I say that, there usually is some sort of, narrative, right? Last year with the Montreal Canadiens, right? Then Matthews and Marner didn't show up at all, and you blew a 3-1 lead. You also lost to Tavares, and you lost Jake Muzzin later in the series. I mean, it's a complete abomination of a series, right? We go to years past, it's been shoddy goaltending, really, bad goals given up by guys like Frederik Andersen and stuff like that. And then the Leafs just not playing well, and against Columbus, just not scoring at all. But this was the one series that I could look at, and I'm like, okay, well, Matthews and Marner performed. The rest of the team really performed. Your goaltending was good enough. Again, not great, but good enough. And you still lost in Game 7. But it felt different. I don't know, you guys can maybe explain it better than I can, but that's just the way I felt leaving that series against Tampa. And of course, for the second consecutive year, the Leafs go up against Stanley Cup finalists at the very least in round 1. Tampa, obviously we all know, has now made it to the Stanley Cup final against Colorado Avalanche. And it frustrates me to no end. Because I look at that and I'm like, man, the Leafs played a damn good series against Tampa. They just could not beat them. Right? They just could not put them away. Then they go on to just beat the living snot out of Florida. I'm like, the Leafs could have done that. And then they go to the Rangers. Right? And the Rangers take the first 2 games at home, which was like automatic for them the entire playoffs to that point. And then Tampa wins 4 straight. And I'm like, you're telling me the Leafs? Like, come on now. This is crazy. And then the Leafs, like, I don't know what it is, but the Leafs somehow find a way to bring out the best in these teams, and then they just propel them forward. But it's tough to watch. But am I supposed to have a positive narrative with that? I honestly have no idea. But that's it for the review. Because I'm done talking about the last season. It's over. Let's talk about the offseason and what it brings and what has been done so far and what should happen. Albeit, this is more of a you guys video, just a discussion video in the comments. But I'm going to give you a bunch of stuff and you guys go nuts. All right. So first off, we'll talk about what's already happened. So Jason Spezza called it quits for the career, and he's in some sort of position with the Leafs organization. So there's that. Spezza is not back with the Leafs as a player. Mark Giordano, however, I believe he signed like a 2-year deal at like $700,000, which I'm like, damn, this guy could have got at least like $1 million, maybe $1.5 million, maybe even $2 million in free agency, because he's still a solid player. We saw that. But he took a massive pay cut to stay here for a couple of years. And I'm like, oh, well, damn, that's good. I love what Gio brought to this team since he came over from at the trade deadline. Awesome stuff. Now, let's move on to the more pressing subjects. The free agent market and which Leafs are going to be there. First off, let's start with the RFAs, which you're probably not going to lose, and there's not really anything too crazy to go off of. So bottom line, Pierre Engvall's an RFA, so you're probably not going to lose him. If team wants to overpay for Pierre Engvall, so be it. Andre Kasha, same thing, which I was baffled that he was an RFA, but alas, he still is apparently. No, there's no way. We signed him to a UFA deal to bring him here for 1 year. I don't know how it works, but it said RFA on I don't even know what website I was on, but it was cap friendly. So I don't know why it said that. But either way, if he's UFA or RFA, what do you do with Andre Kasha? And the 2 other RFAs are Timothy Liljegren and Rasmus Sandin. Neither guy had taken a massive, massive step to get a healthy payday. So not sure what they do with those guys. Not sure the dollar amount you look at when it comes to those guys. But the UFAs. Colin Blackwell, I thoroughly enjoyed watching him as a Leaf. However, again, all depends on asking and what he's asking for. Again, I think I love the way he's a small guy, but man, did he play with grit, and he ain't afraid to get in the corners and body up some bigger player. I loved what he brought to this team. I really did. Ilya Mikheyev, obviously a fan favorite. Before the season, didn't want to be here because he wanted a bigger role somewhere else. And had a pretty good season with the Leafs. So the question is, do you pay him? Do you let him walk? He clearly didn't really want to be here at the start of the year. Did this past season show him that he wants to stay? And if that's the case, what's the price? Like, I personally don't see Mikheyev coming back, and it hurts to say it because I like him. But I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. A guy that I want back desperately, Ilya Lyubushkin. He's a right shot, physical, pretty sound defensively. Like, he's what this team likes to have and needs to have. So I don't know, but he's a UFA. So we'll see what happens on that front. And then the biggest one of all is Jack Campbell. And you damn well know as Leaf fans, we don't know what what he's going to ask for. It's going to be the decent amount. And with Peter Mrazek still on the books, assuming he is with the team next year, which I wouldn't surprise me at all if he's dealt at some point during the offseason. But what do you do with Jack? Do you bring him back and be like, well, I don't know. Do you want to hear the goalie market? Because it's nothing to hit home about. Here we go. I brought it up here. Marc-Andre Fleury, Mikko Koskinen, no thanks. Darcy Kemper, Thomas Greiss, Yaroslav Halak, flipping Corey Schneider's listed here. Braden Holtby, Martin Jones, and then Jack Campbell. This is under guys that have been paid. But I'm going down the list, guys, and I don't see anybody who's better than Jack Campbell. So what do you do? Like, what do you do with Jack? And that's something I want to post to you guys in the comments. That's a big question I want you guys to answer. At least give me your thoughts down below. Now, with all the free agency done, or at least our free agents, let's talk about a couple guys that might get moved and you might have to move to make money work. Jake Muzzin. We all know what happened to him, this past season and obviously in the playoffs last year and whatnot. Came back and he really wasn't quick. He wasn't really he wasn't great this season, albeit it wasn't healthy majority of the time. I loved him in the playoffs. I think he looked great in the playoffs. But he's making a hefty bit of money. So what do you do with Jake Muzzin? Do you keep him around or do you trade him and look for something cheaper in free agency? I don't know what they decide to do. I like Muzzin. I'd like to keep him around. That cap hit is massive. And if you want to keep around Jack Campbell, if you want to keep around Ilya Mikheyev, that might be the guy. And I don't like it. I really don't like it. But I don't know. I want to hear your guys' thoughts about that. And Alex Kerfoot, a guy that since he signed the damn contract, everyone's talked about trading him away. He's heading into the final year of his deal. So what do you do? Making $3.5 million for one more season. I mean, he put up career numbers and points, I believe, this season. He had a great year. But what do you do? Trade value is maybe higher than it's ever been because he's been productive. Do you move him? Do you keep him? What do you do? I want to hear what you guys have to think. Now, I'm going to list off some defenseman free agents that I like, and I'm just going to ream off the forwards, and you guys go crazy with it, all right? So, these are the three defensemen that I saw that I really, really like. Well, again, Connor Murphy, I'm not too sure about, but again, right shot defenseman, decent size to him. I like that stuff. If you're going to lose a guy like Lyubushkin, you want to bring back some size on the right side. He is that size. Then there's two other guys that I like, and it fills that physical, maybe if you move on from a Jake Muzzin and Nikita Zadorov. We all know that guy lowers the boom like crazy. So if he's the guy you want to bring in on the back end, maybe, and a guy that I would desperately love to have on this team, but I don't know what, again, the price is probably going to be pretty high for him, is a Josh Manson out of Colorado. I love that kid as a player. I love what he brings. But again, those are three names that I wanted to bring up to you guys as possible maybe replacements for guys who were dealt, who were going free agency, whatever the case. Now I'm just going to ream off forwards and you guys go nuts. And I'm not going to say the unrealistic ones. We'll go down to we're going to start with Dustin Brown, who will again be a third, fourth line, right side, gritty guy, veteran presence. You never know. Andrew Ladd, Andre Palat, he's going to get paid. Max Domi, that'd be an interesting one out of Carolina. Nino Niederreiter in Carolina, he'll probably get paid as well. Riley Smith, Andre Burakovsky, Vincent Trocheck, Nazem Kadri. We all know Kadri's going to get paid a ton. Ryan Strome, Ryan Getzlav, David Perron, Victor Rask, Andrew Shaw, Ricard Raquel, Paul Stastny, Andrew Kopp, Chris Tierney, Dmitry Yaskin, Anton Roussel, Jay Beagle, Athanasiou, Frankie Vetrano. We can go down the list and name all these guys, all these depth players. There's tons of them out there. But Leaf fans, if there's anybody out there that you think, damn, that guy would fit this mold really nicely, let me know in the comments below. All right? Leaf fans, that is going to do it for this one. It's a lot of talk about the past. We had to talk on the future because if we're going to live in the past, you're going to be miserable. All right? So Leaf fans, that's into it. Smack the like button if you guys enjoyed the video and enjoyed talking about the Leafs again, even though it's very negative around this team right now. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You guys not already. Comment down below thoughts on the video, thoughts on the season that was, thoughts on the upcoming off season and what needs to be done. And by the way, is he going to be a Leaf next year? We don't know. Comment down below. Go nuts. All your takes on the Toronto Maple Leafs and your thoughts on the offseason. Like I said, the past season and the upcoming offseason, which is going to be wild for the Toronto Maple Leafs. All right. Twitter link is down below, so follow up, send me a DM, all that great stuff. The Instagram link is also down below, so follow up there if you guys have not done so already. And I will talk to you guys, Jays Edition, later tonight as they host the Baltimore Orioles for game 1 of a 4-game set there. Kyle Bradish against Alek Manoah. That's game 1 matchup tonight. 7:07 first pitch there at Rogers Center. And as for the Toronto Maple Leafs, you all know what I'm going to be doing. Talking to you guys throughout the offseason when things go down for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Obviously, I believe July 1st is still the free agency start, so we'll see what happens there. But as for the Toronto Maple Leafs, back to the drawing board. They got to get back at it, right? So you know what, guys? Thank you so much for listening and watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and the season that was. We'll talk to you guys then.